And so when I'm not worried about the external forces, stress down. All of a sudden I started focusing on these external things that I can't control, and Hi, my name's Devon. Today I own several multi-million-dollar companies. We started with $5,000 in a credit card. I don't know the easy way. I only know the hard way. Hey everyone, welcome to the Whiteboard Entrepreneur Podcast, where I give straightforward advice to fuel the entrepreneur in all of us. I want to talk to you about stress and anxiety. And I get asked all the time by a lot of people. They're like, hey, do you seem to really handle a lot of responsibility and you don't ever seem to be too stressed about it. You seem to be like totally in control and, fine with it, easy going. You get bad news, you're like, man, whatever. Get good news, whatever, right? Like pretty even keel, able to handle life as it comes. And they're like, how do you do that? And it's pretty funny because I would say that's fairly accurate. Now, that's not to say I'm not an intense person, because I can be pretty intense, but for the most part, I take the good days and the bad days in stride, right? Like they don't bother me that much, with one exception. One exception. From November 1st to about February 16th every year, I'm crazy, stressed, tense, anxiety, have a hard time sleeping. And it's because it's soccer season. And so like for me, and over the years, I've always thought to myself, okay, well, what happens is that I have this kind of threshold of, how much I can handle. And I'm always right there. It's like almost like a cup, right? You pour water into it and the water goes all the way up to the rim and it just kind of like stays there. And I picture that's how my life is, right? Like it's just all the way filled up to the rim. And then as soon as soccer season comes, it's just like, water hose, and it's just like water everywhere, splashing everywhere. And so in my mind, that's why I have anxiety during the season, because it just puts me over the top, over the edge. And recently I've come to realize that that's not true. Recently I've come to realize that what happens is in most areas of my life, I realize and I focus on the things that are in my control, right? But when it comes to soccer, I focus on all kinds of things that are totally out of my control. And that allows me, and that forces me to freaking lose my noodle, right? Like I go crazy, I get stressed, and I'm always uptight, I'm on edge, right? Like have a hard time sleeping at night, bite somebody's head off, grouchy, all of the bad things that happen when people are like dealing with anxiety and stress. And it's because I start focusing on these things that I can't control. Like I can't control if one of my players gets injured. I can't control if, the sun gets in, somebody's eyes in the middle of the game. I can't control whether, the referee makes a bad call or a good call or whatever it is, right? All of these things I can't control. I start focusing on and freaking out about. And so it puts me over the edge. It spins me up. But most of the time, when it comes to business, I focus on things that are in my control. I say, well, I can't control the economy. I can't control what the Federal Reserve is going to do. I can't control COVID. I can't control my competition. What I can do is I can focus on my company. I can make the hard decisions that I need to make at my company. I'll make some good decisions, some bad decisions. I know that I'll make, I'm not always going to be right. I know that sometimes we'll lose money. Sometimes we'll make money. And I just kind of focus on that, right? Like I just focus on what I can control. I do a lot of planning and I just do my job, but I don't worry about these external forces, right? And so when I'm not worried about the external forces, listen, anxiety levels down, right? Stress down, attitude, emotions up, right? Like stability, stable, right? But when I start these with soccer, all of a sudden I started focusing on these external things that I can't control, and blow a gasket, right? Next thing you know, I'm yellow carded in the game, coming home pissed off after a game, right? Like not sleeping at night, all these things, right? And so I'm sharing this with you to be vulnerable and telling you that in our lives, we all have things that we start focusing on, that are beyond our control. And it might be in certain areas of your life and it might be in other. For some people, it might be like, well, that's what work does to me. At work, I start stressing out about things I can't control. Or with my family, with my kids, I start stressing out about things I can't control. Focus on the things that you can control, not the things that you can't. Right. And that's going to bring that stress level down. It's going to bring that anxiety down, and you plan and you do what you need to do. But at the end of the day, you can't control what the Federal Reserve does. You can't control if competition opens up, a pizza joint right next to yours. You can't control what happens. Right. But what you can do is you can plan and you can control certain things. Right. So maybe business is where you need to focus. For me, like I said, it's on soccer. I need to focus on the things that I can control. I can't control my game preparation. I can't control, how prepared I am. I can't control watching my game film, having a good game plan. I can't control my practices. There's lots of things I can't control. After that, let's go play the game. When the game happens, I'm going to do the best that I can. I'm going to believe my players are going to do the best they can. And then everything else is out of my control. I can't control the referee. And so I'm not going to let it freaking blow my head. Or at least that's what I tell myself. I'm sharing this with you so that you can start analyzing your areas of life where you lose control, right? Like where you have this anxiety, this tension. And I'm sharing this today because I actually got a TikTok that I was looking at, and it was this picture of this guy, this baseball player. And it said, people, and his caption said, everyone always wants to know how I stay so calm all the time. And I don't let anxiety and stress get to me. And then he drew this circle, right? And it said, in my control, things in my control. And he put down my self-talk, the words that I use, my game prep, my boundaries, what I follow on social media, who I listen to, the friends that I hang out with, what time I go to bed, what I eat, when I work out, all of these different things that he actually had control over. And then he started listening outside of the circle, the things that he has no control over, the past, the future, the news, what other people think of me, what other people say about me. And all of these things, I looked at this and I was so challenged that I thought to myself, I need to draw up my own circle. And I need to think, what are the things in my circle that I can control? I can control my talk. I can control what I focus on, what I think about, what I care about, what I speak. But more importantly, what are these things out here that are stressing me out outside of my circle? Because I can't control those things. I can't control what people think about me. I can't. I can't control the economy. I can't control, whether a customer buys or doesn't buy. I can control the pricing. But I can't control their decision. I can't control whether a customer stays with us or leaves us, right? My kids, right? Like once they're out of the house, you can't control them. All of these different things in my life that stress me out and I freak out about and I worry about, they're outside of my control. And this is where anxiety comes. And this is where sleepless nights come. And if you're someone who's, you're driven and you're pursuing your dreams and you're out there and you're an entrepreneur or whatever it is, but you're out there pursuing your dreams, you have to focus on what's in that circle, what you can control, because you don't have enough time to control everything outside of the circle, and you can't. And that's what I've had to realize. Like all of these things outside of the circle, I can't control. But if I focus on the things inside of the circle, if I focus on having my quiet time, if I focus on making sure I go to bed at the right time, if I make sure I focus on what I listen to, what news I consume, if I focus on the self-talk that I have in my head, if I focus on preparing for what I can do, if I focus on those things, stress can come down. Confidence can go up. And all of these external things start to become grayed out. It's almost like they get further and further and more blurry as they just kind of move out of focus as I focus on what I can control. And so I'm being transparent and sharing what this meant to me. But I challenge you right now as you're listening to this podcast, as you're thinking about this, what are those things in your circle that you can control? What are those things that you should be focusing on? And then I'm going to challenge you outside of that circle. What are all of these things that are causing you stress and anxiety that you have zero control over? Let them go. Focus on what's in the circle. And I promise you that this podcast will help you. I'm Devon, and this is the Whiteboard Entrepreneur Podcast.